Tavern Talks. Today we're here with Julius. Would you like to introduce yourself and talk about what we're doing in this episode?
Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, and binary folk. Today we'll be talking about the Dungeon Master faction, its cards, their application to the meta, as well as low levels of play when you just got the starter deck and considering what to cut.
Thanks, Julius. So I'll introduce myself. I am WonkySlipshod. I am known to do good in modifier tournaments that I've been in. And first, for this video, we will talk about our prerequisites for talking about where we're gonna put cards. So we are starting out by talking about like SS. We imply that we think the card is a nerf. It needs a nerf. It's too powerful right now. S, we think it's really strong at what it's trying to do. A is pretty decent at what it's trying to do, and then in the middle it's in somewhere in between, depends on the card. F, we think that you don't run it. C is a not barely run. B is like, okay, you're probably gonna run it. And then we also want to talk about how uh, versatile. We think that versatility and effectiveness at what it's trying to do is what applies to the card. So we're going to start off with Gunhaunt. Gunhaunt allows you to. He's a two attack ranged dungeon master. We have three dungeon masters in the game right now. He allows you to activate his ability to tap to banish a creature in your graveyard to make a Gunhaunt that has attack equal to the
You mean
mana cost.
Desperado?
Yeah, Desperado, this guy. And then, so I'll hand this off to Julius so he can talk about that card.
Gunhaunt, he's ridiculous. He's like there's no reason to play him over anything else essentially. First of all, the 2 power and ranged is a very powerful thing to have. Like if you're playing against Zarothix, they might as well start at 25 with how much damage you're going to get in a lot of the time. And the fact that every one of your small boys, your 2 drops, your 3 drops, they can potentially die into another creature, is also extremely powerful. And it's the only DM I would play in any of the DM decks right now. And I don't think it's particularly close.
Yeah, well, also you get free units on board, so you can sacrifice things like your Desperados for basically free. So you can use your Dread experiments very easily to gain almost free draw power. You go +1 in card advantage for basically nothing. It's just all around great. I think, in my opinion, it deserves a nerf. In my opinion, like it was at 2 cost of life before, and it's now nothing. So it's just free value now.
Went from the worst to the best. How far this card has come.
Yeah. So okay. So next we have Zarothix. He is a 130 dungeon master that has mastery 1 that'll increase your next damage of your spell every turn by 1, and then he gains an additional mastery for every 5 spells in your graveyard. So I'll give this off to Julius, the master guy.
It's me, alright. This card, he's good but outclassed. Like the sure, allowing you to call the old gods to kill two toughness dudes and that it's good. It's definitely good, but it does allow you to have a little bit more staying power in terms of damage spells in the late game. But it's not nearly as good as having actual onboard creatures or being able to attack early, like Gunhaunt allows you to. As well as the problem with Seraphix and the problem with also the Lich, there's you become extra weak to flying creatures like that like man, I can talk from my experience in the championship. You the thing like cheap flyers like the IBAT, Skywatcher Sentry I think it's called, was so potent and often got in for a lot of damage, and that becomes a big weakness, and that's why I think we're gonna put him in S tier. good, but if you have Gunhaunt, you play Gunhaunt.
Yeah, well, you have a choice between the three, so
Yes.
wherever we put it, it's not gonna be like that important where it's gonna be, cause yeah. Okay, so for the last of the dungeon masters, we have Lich here. So what he does is he allows you to, whenever he kills one of your opponent's creatures, he gain one of your random guys on your field gains 1/1, which is good. It's mostly just a fear tactic. For most good players, they won't allow you to hit that. That's why he goes lower
And
than he would
or
normally
you've
be.
got it. You've got it also at the start of your turn. It deals one damage to one of your guys, and you gain one life.
Yeah,
It's important too. Yeah.
yeah,
That.
he also does that. But in general, that actually second ability where he steals a life from one of your friendly creatures and then if it dies, it gains 1/0. It actually hurts him most of the time
Yeah.
because you'll kill stuff that you don't actually want to kill and you're losing value out of your cards. While stuff like Gunhaunt, he'll actually like gain value for you for killing your creatures.
Yeah.
So
Precisely.
So hit Lich's major upside is actually like just a fear tactic that is kind of the same with Gunhaunt. He has that same kind of fear tactic when he's attacking. So it works the same way in practice. So Lich just falls flat for me. So he's the same tier as Zarothix right now. You're only gonna run Gunhaunt with DM right now, just because that's how the meta is. Things can change on that part depending on what they do with these two cards, but right now that's what it is.
Honestly, I hope they do because I'd like to see some more diversity in the DM options. No,
Yeah,
it's just Gunhaunt. That it's the only really correct choice in most situations.
in every
I'd love to be proven wrong, but in my experience, I think it's the only right choice currently.
yeah, because first for like Zarathrix, you just rather get that extra attack than the mastery, because you're just gonna lose those spells in your graveyard, because you're not gonna hit your opponent's gravekeepers. You're not gonna value your graveyard as much as like a bone deck.
Yeah.
You're gonna value the killing your opponent over that. Okay, and then next we have Alkar, which is a very interesting card. It's a very card. It's a card that really depends on what it hits. So basically, it banishes the top spell of your deck, and then when he dies, he plays every card banished by himself. So, for example, you can return him to your hand with Springtrap to have him banish two cards, and then when he dies, he'll play two. And then you could probably Necromancy him to hit a third and then play all three of them. So that's one thing that you could do with him. So that's like a fun combo to hit. It's not very consistent though. Julius, would you like to talk about him?
Yeah, my take is that he's a B tier. Yeah, he's good, but doesn't have a clear place in any deck in the meta right now. I have been playtesting him in Burn, and he's been solid. He's been good, but he's sort of outclassed by other options like Grand Trading Prince and others. Like if you have him like early, like one of your if you want to upgrade the starter deck and stuff like that, he's gonna be you're not gonna be ever gonna be really sad unless you're like playing the final spell and you hit that. That's kind of rough. But he's like if you view him as if you want a 4/4 for free, that when he dies draws a card, except you also get to play that card. Then you can't really go wrong with him.
Yeah, there are some good things about him, like you can banish Ritual of Annihilation, so that's a really good one to hit. You can get lots of value out of it, but also it can stab you in the back. So, like, you grab Final Spell when you have a bunch of creatures on board, your opponent's just gonna kill it and force you to activate it. That's just
Yeah.
how a good player would act in that situation. Or they could return it to your hand, which actually helps you in some situations, but doesn't exactly. So he is kind of like confused in what he's trying to do. you have to run few spells and high level spells for him to be good. For him to really be good, really good. Like if you hit Riotous Recruitment, which draws 3 for 5 mana, it's an MRA card, then he's good, you know. But usually, you'll probably follow him up with Dread Experiment because you don't want your opponent to activate your banish spell instead of you. So like you can hit Call of the Old God or Springtrap when you don't want it, but other times it can be good. It's pretty situational. It's not that great right now. There's probably better cards. So let's move on to Apprentice Necromancer. So it's a 2 mana 1/1 that summons a Bone Amalgamate. What can I say about this card? Really good. Tons of value. Julius, would you like to say something?
Yes, I used to actually play this card in MRA what am I saying? Mastery. Back when it was 2 power, like a 2/1. Uh, especially back in that format. The two blockers are solid. Definitely solid for getting to the late game and stuff like that. Uh, but just in this current metagame we're in, it's pretty much only a thing you really want to run in Bone Deck. Maybe like I don't know about Slime Control, whether they want to run that. That'd be something I would have to ask someone else about. But if you're playing Bones, and you got it, it's fine. If you want to build like a mastery deck, you probably want to include something else. But if you have to, it's definitely not horrible. Like it doesn't stop Gunhaunt from attacking, so they want to attack into it. But then they also get the Desperado, so that sort of helps you. So I'd say maybe like a B in everything else, but like an S tier in Bones.
Yeah, well, he in Bones you run him at 3 copies just because getting Bone Amalgamates early for your Reconstructor, it's very important. Reconstructor, very overpowered card. We'll talk about that later. Okay. So we have Arcane Experiment next, which is a card that if it's in your graveyard and then you activate 3 spells in a turn, all of your Arcane Experiments go back to your hand. Basically, this effect is completely ignored right now. It used to be used, but not anymore. Uh, Most of the time, you're just gonna banish it with Gunhaunt nowadays, if you are gonna use it. But the important effect is that it has a last word draw card, so it replaces itself in the hand, which it's not that. It's not there right now. Julius, would you like to talk about it?
No, they massacred my boy. It used to be a 1 mana 2/1 with the same effects, and the burn spells used to cost less, like a couple spells they put to 2. So he just overall gotten a lot worse. I don't run him anymore, and that makes me sad. I know why they had to do it. Doesn't make me not sad. Putting don't run it burn. It's not aggressive enough.
Yeah, well, also, you're not going to hit that 3 spells in a turn, usually, to
Yeah,
get it back. And then the last word draw card, it's not really worth it for its board presence right now. A lot of people have tried the Dread Experiment onto Arcane Experiment. It used to be a good combo. I don't think it's a good combo anymore, just because spending 4 mana, 2 cards to draw 3 for a +1 in card advantage is not really
yeah.
worth it when you can
As-
play a 5 mana card to get +2 in card advantage.
Well, it's that's the thing though. These days it's really easy to get fodder for dread experiments with Gunhaunt. So playing a card for that purpose alone is sort of weak. So yeah, run it if you feel like it, but there are definitely better options. And it's like it an additional thing I want to say is that the fact that it doesn't have free toughness makes it so that Bone Brute just wants to attack into it. I mean, Gunhaunt wants to attack into it, and in a way that he quite can't with some of the better two drops we're going to talk about later. I'll get back into that when it's relevant, but that's my thoughts on Arcane Experiment.
Okay, and then, well, I mean, this is just the Bone Amalgamate.
S tier, S tier,
SS.
SS, too good, must nerf. Or depending on how you want to see it, maybe it should be F tier. I think it should be bigger when it gets bigger. That's just my take, but could
Yeah,
you imagine if it had like a big ass sword when it got really like it just slowly got bigger with no explanation? I think that'd be funny.
yeah, the whole Bone deck is just cracked right now. It it
Yeah,
just it just kills everything. Literally everything. At
it's like I would argue that it's close to even against mastery, but like against everything else, it's sort of rough.
y-
But Wonky disagrees with that. But where that's
well, I
I don't know
mean,
if that's a discussion we'll ever truly settle.
yeah, well, I mean, we haven't really tested the Bone matchup against
Yeah,
the
Wonky
Necromancer that
don't
much.
doesn't really like bones that much.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really boring to play, okay, and it's been here
Man,
for a
they're gonna
while.
put the church of Bony Boys is gonna put you on a cross for this. You know that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna call me a bone hater.
I mean, you are, but teach their own.
Yeah,
All
I
right, we
mean,
should move on.
it just has too much. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, and then we have Bone Brute. You know, the classic gains amped and one extra attack until the end of the turn when you cast a spell. Very strong card for what it is. Julius, you are the mastery boy here, so this is a mastery card.
My God, my boy Bone Brute coming in for free damage a lot of the time and just being a cool guy with his funny dance moves. Look at him. He looks like kind of mean jig. But on a more serious note, he's one of my favorite two drop in mastery. Personally, it's like he's so good, dude. Like he has that three toughness. It's like it, the gun hunt player has to actually have one of their better draws to be able to profitably attack into it. And that's just very good. Um, the fact that you can play it with a one mana spell on turn three or a four or on turn four with a two mana. That's very potent, and I don't see myself ever cutting it from mastery. What
Um,
about
yeah,
what do you think about it in Burning Book though?
yeah. In the Burning Book, it's pretty strong. I've been cutting it though from that deck just because it doesn't actually help you against bone decks that much, because they just build a giant wall, so you kind of have to build your deck around that. So aggro has a struggle against that deck, just because like everything else does too. But I've actually been cutting it because if your opponent has a board presence, it doesn't actually do much. But if they don't have as much of a board presence, it's really good in getting damage out on your opponent. And then also your opponent having to dark matter blast it to get rid of it is very valuable
Definitely.
because everyone's running a good amount of these cards, a lot. Most decks run this. So I would put it in like A tier right now. It's probably better than Arcane Experiment. You're probably going.
I think it belongs in. I don't know. I think S tier is good. Well,
Uh, yeah,
it's like either it's basically what we're saying. The thing we're saying with this grade is that you play it and burn. You just play it and burn. It's great and burn. Play it and burn. Room zoom. Go in.
yeah. It's good at getting damage out. It's good at what it's doing. It's not too strong. It's not as strong as like Apprentice Necromancer, which you can create a basically infinite amount of value. Not infinite, but you can create a ton of value with a 2 mana card with this card.
Yeah.
Way more than Bone Brute can.
Yeah, but it depends on what do you care like I've also seen aggressive version of bones that does I've seen that around that does exist and it's somewhat viable. Like you're still gonna play obviously Apprentice Necromancer over it, but like even in some more aggressive bone lists, I've seen it play to somewhat decent success. So I'm not gonna
Yeah.
discount that.
It's definitely not a run in bone decks, but it's pretty
Yeah,
good
not
at what it's trying to do. So
yeah,
it's pretty good up there.
sure.
And then Book of the Ancient Arts, the card that Julius loves. Okay, it gives
I
a creature mastery 1 and 1/1. Pretty solid. Julius, this is your specialty. So
oh
what do you have to say?
brother, this card's great, dude. All I want to do in this game is put that book on give it to the stump. I don't know how he reads, but he sure is potent with it. The little taunt man, freaking make it so that they gotta block it with Gunhaunt more than once. Oh man, dude, and to like it's like slightly less gross with the Skywatcher Sentry, but if you put two of them in, that's a real thing. Nah, that's a real threat. Uh, and it's like you play with Bone Brute, you have a good time. Yeah, it's like obviously it says mastery, so you can run it, but it's like if you know how to play it with on aggressive starts with some of your one drops, it can lead to some really oppressive starts.
Yeah,
So I would say this is a clean S. I love this card.
yeah, it's a really solid card. Hitting it on the trap jaw makes it trap jaw insane. Having them not be able to defend with their gun haunt, like they have to defend with their gun haunt twice to kill it, and it does 4 damage to their gun haunt when they do that for each time. It adds a ton of value to trap jaw. So I think probably an S. Probably an S tier. It's not a card you run outside of Mastery though. It's
Oh
only
no,
you only really run it in Mastery where you're gonna get the benefit from the Mastery one, because it is a little situational to get hit on the Trap Jaw. It's not too situational. You can also hit it on the Bone Brute, and that's pretty solid. Anything,
definitely
anything else you want to say, Julius, about that
no.
card?
Not. I think that's those are my thoughts.
Okay. Oh yeah, we got got the Boons To Bones.
Battle me
Yes.
bones.
Yes, the card that initiates God combos so much. That card plus Necromancy. Oh, there's so many good combos with that
Man,
card.
yeah,
There's those two. Uh, it's the drawing a card and like the discarding a card is actually what helps this card a lot. You also get the Bone Amalgamate, so you kind of get about the. It's a very. I think it's an S tier. It actually. I don't think it's too overpowered
yeah.
on
I
its
think
own.
I think like necromancy is the problem, not bones to bones. Um, I want to say one thing. Bones to bones. If you don't got the necromancies, if you're not playing bones, if it's just a 0/1 that discards a card and draws a card, you need to get that out of your deck. Like yeah, in something like the starter deck, for instance.
Well, actually, if you have Gunhaunt, alone
Yeah,
Boons to
fair.
Bone is pretty strong. Because you can discard a 10 mana card to get a 10/1 Desperado. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just
but,
way better than Gunhunt's Call.
yeah, true.
So it's kind of like a way better version of Gunhunt's Call
Yeah,
in some ways. But also you can do the Magi combo. That's a very deadly combo. uh, if you know what I'm talking about, because that's a annoying combo. It's God combo is what we call it here. Okay, and
yeah.
then anything else you want to say about that card, Julius?
No, that's it's not really.
Okay, so we got Cosmic Reanimation, one of the new cards they've added to the game. Pretty new. Um, so what it does is oh yeah, I forgot to even say what this card does. It discards a card and draws a card, and then summons a Bone Amalgamate. And then
Fine.
Cosmic Reanimation, it allows you to, for each spell you play the last turn, you lose a life, and you summon a Bone Brute. So,
Amalgamate me.
no, it's not an Amalgamate, it's a Bone Brute.
Bone Brute's the 2-drop dingus.
Yeah, yeah, it's this guy. If someone's
Wait, oh, what?
yeah, it's some
I never read it that closely.
if someone's these guys.
That's crazy.
So
I swear to God I didn't know that. I just assumed.
so
Anyway,
it being 8 mana means that it is too much mana for what you're trying to get. It also it feels like it's supposed to be in a mastery deck. That's what it's like trying to imply. That's what it feels like. It feels like it wants to be in a mastery deck because that's what the deck that plays a lot of spells. But currently, there's not really a good way to play tons of spells in a turn. So it kind of falls flat because you'd have to hit like 4 spells in a turn to even make this worth it. So, uh, which you'd rather just play Bone Brutes, in my opinion. Just
I'm
play
gonna
Bone
be
Brutes.
yeah, I'm gonna be agreed. But if someone, yeah, if this card in the future becomes the center of a deck, I'd love to play it because this is one of the cards. I don't think it's good, but I want to see it be good. You know,
Yeah,
I want to see
it has potential to be good if you reduce the mana or new cards come out that make it easier to play spells, other than like Gunhaunt's Call, which is like, yeah, you can do
rep.
that, but like,
Yeah,
it's not good. Summoning a
yeah.
0/1 for 0 mana is just not worth it for a card.
Well, I
You,
guess if we're gonna talk about that, we might as well just get that out of the way now with the Gunhaunt's Call. If you're
yeah, might as well. Since we've been talking about it
yeah,
enough.
but my final thoughts on it. I'll buy a Tankard to anyone who can beat me with that card with that card. Like this thing, it open challenge. If anyone can build a good version of that and beat me with it, fine. Full round for for you, man. Might buy one for to the house if for the whole house if that happens. Love to see it.
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
okay, so we have Gunhaunt's
yeah,
Call next. So it spends
yeah.
all your mana and then summons a Desperado equal to that attack, the mana you spent. Attack equal to the mana you spent. So basically, it's like Gunhaunt, but worse. So you summon this guy, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a ranged attack based on how much mana you spend. So basically, he has actually anti synergy with Gunhaunt because you'd rather just play like a 1 mana or something in your deck just to get like a 1/1 Desperado once this guy dies. Um,
Let me put it this way though. Huh. Let's think of this wacky conundrum. Would you rather have a thing that doesn't die into another creature that's as big as itself, or just not?
yeah, just play a different
What
card.
a conundrum, huh?
Literally just play Boons To Bones, dropping a 10 mana in the graveyard, and that's a
Or
better
like or
combo.
like even like a 4 mana or 5 mana would be better than this. It's kind
Like,
of silly.
uh, that's a lot less work to get a 10/1
Totally.
10/1 Desperado than to spend 10 mana on that. It's not
Yeah.
worth the mana cost. Maybe it's more worth it when it's lower mana cost, but it's not really worth it anything above like 3.
Agreed. Moving on
Okay.
to Dark Matter Blast.
Ooh, the classic. Uh,
The classic.
the card is so basically it's a very simple card, but it's very effective. So it does 3 damage, and then it deals 1 damage back to yourself. Pretty simple. Do you want to tell us about the mastery perspective of this card?
Absolutely. So this is one of the best cards in Mastery because it's just the sheer efficiency of it. Being able to like kill your enemy Bone Brute or or similar, but it's just like the pure efficiency of being able to do like 3 or whatever, like playing it maybe on turn 4 with a lower Spellshaper, etc., etc. It's like it does hurt yourself, but and that's something you have to. It's not something that makes it worse. Or like it does make it worse, but it's just something you have to like consider when you're playing. Is like, do you think that your opponent would have the ability to kill you next turn if because of the life total change, and if you don't, play it out. Um, just always run it is always gonna do work. But what about in the other decks in the meta? What do you think about that?
I think that it's three health is actually the kind of gold standard. Like for a lot of cards, there's so many cards in the game that three health is just the spot you want to hit. So like it's really good in most decks. It's very strong. Like you kill Gravekeepers, you kill Garanon, you kill Spellshapers, you kill Dreaded Experiment, Dreaded Corpse Slingers, you kill Bone Brutes. It's a very versatile removal card that is very cheap. It's definitely worth the mana. You run it a lot. You run it a lot in decks. I don't know if it
Three
need.
up in
I don't know
every
if
one of the meta decks, I think.
well, for mastery, if you put mastery on it, it does increase both these damages. So that's something to keep in mind with the card. I do think it's an S because you run it in like almost any deck. I think it's a high S, very high S.
Totally.
It's a very solid removal card.
Yeah,
Um, in anything but mastery, but also mastery, it's really good. So basically, anything likes this card. You just don't run
that's
it
right.
as much in uh, MRA just because you don't have enough slots, but actually I think you do run it quite a bit.
Yeah,
There's just so many good removal in DM. So like you have Call of the Old God, you have well, yeah, I forget Mob Rule is not a DM card sometimes.
hmm.
Anything you have to say other than that?
No, let's just move on to
Okay.
Dread Experiment.
Ooh.
Oh baby, man! I made the I used to play the five mana, righteous recruitment. Not a good. I think that's a mistake. This card is the boss, dude. Though this card is hella nice. Like the ability to take here's a situation you find yourself in mastery a lot. You have a 1/1 dinker that doesn't really do much in the board state, but you need to draw some cards. Boom, just take two. It's might as well be product read, draw two cards. The mana cost barely even matters, you know. Just like turn five, just draw two, do some stuff. That's excellent, absolutely excellent in mastery. Like it feels really hard, like a really tough to be to like have to take a whole turn off for righteous recruitments. And, but this is just like it doesn't have too much of an impact on your overall tempo. They can also be used to like cycle creatures in your hand that aren't relevant to the board state anymore. Like maybe maybe later in the game when things have sort of settled and your opponent has a good board state, stumps for example aren't going to be too relevant, so you can just sort of use that to cycle it, which liberates you to play make a curve even lower.
Oh yeah.
So just like S boarding on double S, I swear to God, this card's awesome.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it would be an SS. It's kind of like
And yeah, no, it doesn't need a nerf, but it's really good.
yeah.
What about the other decks though?
Okay, so the other decks, Bone. Okay, for Bone, they really like this card. Yeah, not like I don't think I did a three because it's not okay. It falls flat as like a starter card. If you get it early, you don't. It's not as like awesome as like Riotous, where you just get free +2 in card advantage. Well, not free, but you get 5 mana worth. You spend 5 mana, get +2 in card advantage. So while this card you spend two and you go +1. Well, if you kill like a Desperado or something. Depends on what you kill. If you kill like Desperado, it's definitely +1 in card advantage. But Bone, they like that card a lot because they can kill their own Bone Amalgamates to power up their bones even more by summoning even more Bone Amalgamates. But also like in MRA, they like the card. Well, not as much. I don't think MRA likes it as much. They'd rather run Riotous, because the Burning Book, because that card allows you to mobilize a bunch of creatures. It's a very solid draw power that works in a lot of decks. A lot of people tried this combo, Arcane Experiment in this. Dread Experiment just outclasses it right now for draw power.
Definitely.
Okay, and then yeah, it allows you to sacrifice a creature and draw
Like
two. We kind of forgot to
just
talk about
just
that.
final additional note on that. Yeah, if you do want it's like you don't need to play cards that are specifically good to sack because every card like basically does the thing twice. Uh,
because of
like
Gunhaunt.
in terms of with the Gunhaunt becoming a desperado. So like I might play like there's a guy traveling medic comes in and gives a thing plus out +2, and then I just like immediately sack him and then get a desperado and it's almost like nothing changed. Like and then it's just like straight up card advantage. So
Okay.
yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. So we have Dreaded Corpse Slinger. He's a 3 mana 2/3 that whenever an undead dies, deal 1 damage. One thing to note with this guy, Desperados are undead, but so this guy Gunhaunt does combo with him pretty decently. He does have like a quite good fun factor. I just don't think he's the best run in a bone deck right now. He's probably like a uh, probably a
B
B.
feels good.
Yeah,
Well, I've played against some corpse slinger variations. Like you get them with get them back with um Tombstone Mimic. That feels very strong. Like if they, I've only been a been killed by the big 7 mana do 20 once. What you may call it
Ritual Annihilation.
yeah, Ritual Annihilation, because I was so scared of my opponent's three things, so I couldn't really attack into it. There were desperados and their whatnot, and they managed to get it off on me. So like I think it weirdly helps to enable Ritual Annihilation in a wacky way. But I think it's a really cool build around, and anyone who beats me with him is a real cool guy in my eyes.
Well, I would have to disagree. I think he's more of a supporting Ritual of Annihilation, not
That's
really
what
helping it. Like, you're not actually speeding up Ritual of
that's what I
Annihilation.
meant. That's what I meant, like supporting in the sense that it's a multi-threat. Like if you like that's the thing. Y- uh, one weakness of traditional bones I find, like when I'm playing master and I get to that mid game, I'm cruising. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. You ain't got nothing that's scaring me. I'm just gonna sit here and burn your face. But like in the later mid game with that, I'm like, oh god, I'm just screwed.
Yeah.
And that feels sort of bad sometimes when I get a good start on that.
Yeah, well, he does take a spot on the board, but also, yeah, he does get hit by Tombstone pretty good. What else? He's a definitely fun card. He's got usability. He's not bad. Uh, pretty solid, pretty okay. Not like something that you would really use a lot in your bone decks because there's just better options. You'd rather run like removal or whatever than have him, or even have like a Dark Matter Blast or a Call of the Old God and be able to hurt your opponent's board state.
Yeah, sure.
But he is a fun card. I definitely agree. Okay, we have a Dreadful Drain. I think this is it's a
Yeah,
take two life from your opponent, give it to yourself. What did I
two
say?
mana.
Yeah, 2 mana.
Uh, Scales with mastery. The life doesn't scale with mastery, sadly. But it used like I would have put before the it's like running anything but mastery, especially not anymore after it got reduced to increased to 2. But it's like you still run it. The life is important sometimes. Sometimes you just goozle your opponent if you get a couple of those in the mastery mirror. It's not much, not nothing much to talk about here. Uh, yeah, just hey, played in bones, played in mastery, played in nothing else. Just yeah, nothing more about that.
Yeah, right now it's definitely a only run and mastery kind of card. So I would call it like probably
A
A. Yeah, it's not too strong. It's not like a Omni removal like Dark Matter. It's not like Omni, but yeah, it's a very strong removal that Dark Matter Blast is.
hyper efficient should be I
Yeah.
think would be the word.
It has gone down in usage from the new MRA cards. So Mob Roll, which is a card for MRA, has gone up in value because of that.
Yeah,
Oh,
but I guess that's for another episode.
yeah, a different video.
Yeah.
And
All
then
right.
we got okay. So next we have Dutiful Servant. So it's a
My dude.
one.
My dude.
Okay, so it's a one
Uh,
mana 0/1 that gives mastery one, and then also it adds an additional attack if you cast a spell for that turn.
Yeah. My dude, dutiful servant, uh, got himself promoted to a flying pet. I guess that's the way they pay me back for disabling this poor boy. Used to be a 1/1 grown to a 2/1, but all's forgiven. They printed and stumps, so I think me and Emrys are even. But yeah, it's like if you getting on like you want to play other 2/1 drops above it, more aggressive one drops above it. I mean before it on turn one and such. But it's just like it doesn't have it's like it's slightly worse than Book of Ancient Arts, but it's still like just a thing you run three of and you feel good about it,
Yeah.
and that's about it.
Yeah, usually mastery does help a lot. Like Call of the Old God, when you put a mastery on it, it's really good. When you put a mastery on Dark Matter, you can kill a Zealous Archivist with it, so that's really good. Mastery in general is pretty strong. You're probably not gonna run it outside of mastery because you'd rather run other one drops. So like
Totally.
Bone wants to run this guy.
Hmm.
Uh, Dutiful Servant, good mastery card. You're definitely gonna run it in mastery, so he's good at what he's trying to do. You're gonna run it 3 copies. He's not like too as strong as like Book of the Ancient Arts and stuff. Book of the Ancient Arts just has so much good combo potential that it kind of outpaces Dutiful Servant right now.
Absolutely.
They're
Just
very
like
they're very comparable cards in my opinion.
yeah, but like yeah, you can't bounce book away, but with Springtrap, but it's still like uh it's just like it's good. Played in
Yeah.
mastery. That's about it. Next.
Okay, so we have Frenzied Flesh Sewer, my dude. Okay, so he's a 5 mana 6/4 that he has an activate ability that you can sacrifice another friendly creature to add that creature's attack to another creature. It's a very fun card. If you haven't made a deck around this guy, you should. He's a very fun card to play around with. Julius, you have any thoughts?
I had never played this card once in my life. I did it once or twice in the modifier tournament, but he's cool. But to be fair to him, he's that one thing he helps you great revitalization. I've had people like take one of their medium-sized bone brutes, slap it on another bone brute, and great rev me for a bunch of damage, and that's been very potent.
Yeah, that combo there where you can add like tons of attack onto a single unit and then Great Revit is pretty strong. You can't do it in the same turn that you bring it out, which makes sense. He's a slow card. He's not actually that great in the meta right now. You're he's a fun card, but I wouldn't put him too high. He's a B tier. He's okay. He's not too great, but he is a very fun card. I do recommend playing around with him if you
I think
haven't.
I'd put him up. I think I'd put him up there with next to Alkar. Like he's like hair's edge to being meta. Like that. It's like upper B is like if I see them on the other side of the table, I don't scoff. I'm like, huh, yeah, that's reasonable. I don't know if that's optimal, but it sure is reasonable.
Yeah. Well, also, it's a fun card to combo with Mind Corruption, but Mind Corruption is lower. We can talk. Well, I guess this is a good
We can
time to
talk
talk
about that
about that.
now if you want.
Okay. So Frenzied Flesher actually, he's very fun to put tons of attack on like a moose calf or something, which normally wouldn't be
Hooey.
that great, but uh, or putting it on a trap jaw. So it has definitely a good amount of combos that you can do. I just think it's too slow for the actual meta, and he dies too easily at 4 health for 5 mana. And then Mind Corruption. It's a 5 mana that you can take control of opponent's creature for the turn, and it amps it.
Mana.
it's not that good.
It, I'd like I am my take, do not play it in anything that's aggressive, especially like if you want to get in for damage, it's not very good at all. Like the best I've seen it do is like taking like a two power flyer and cracking in, and it's been like and it's like if you look at this card as 5 mana deal two, it doesn't seem that appealing, and it's like you can't really, because of the fact that Great Revitalization, the 7 drop.
Yeah,
Uh, it we'll talk about it in a bit, but you can't play it along with it, so you can't even do any funny shit with excuse me, funny stuff with something like
great revving your
the
opponent's
the 10
creature.
drops and stuff.
Yeah, you can't do a combo that. Well, I mean, you can technically do it with Magi as well if you're doing it
That does
right.
not count. You're not. I mean, if someone like that, put that on the achievement list. If you want to try and do that against me, I'd be happy about the fact that you aren't playing the Magia against me. It's like if you at that point you might as well just play the goddamn Magi. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but on a serious note, Mind
Yeah,
Corruption, there are better cards that do what it does, but
I'm
better.
gonna be honest. I'd put it at F if I were you, but
I would have to disagree. It has more usage than like Cosmic Reanimation
okay, yeah,
and Gunhaunt
sure.
Skull.
But I think it's a trap. Like a lot of people see gain control of a creature and think this must be good. It's really not.
Yeah,
It's really like cut it from your starter deck. Just like don't mostly.
well,
Uh,
when you compare it to like Mob Roll, that's a 3 mana killing a creature, or Springtrap, which is returning a creature to their hand for 2 mana. Just this is just
yeah.
it's just
It's
straight
like
up
it's
better. Just straight up better.
totally
It just doesn't do what it's trying to do as good as other cards.
exactly. All right.
Okay, so next up we have the Great Revitalization. So this card allows you to kill a creature and gain its attack as damage on your opponent, and then its health as life as to yourself, and then you draw 2 cards. So this card is a win condition on its own. Julius, would you like to say something about it?
Man. Yeah. Yeah. Um. Particularly, I don't play with it much myself, but it's like, all right. That here's the thing about Great Rev. Ideally, like what Master's game plan is to kill them before they get to do the thing. But if they manage to do they slow you down, then and they like when they play Great Rev, that usually means the great game is over for Mastery. Because that like the fact that they do that big old chunk, also they just get the life is so important. The life is so important.
Yeah,
Uh,
that life
yeah.
gain makes it so that it helps you survive things, and then the attack on your opponent makes it a win condition on its own. So this card is actually really good in bone decks, and it has some great combo potential with like Necromancy, Boons to Bones, Lumbering Striker, Magi, all of that. And so because of that, I'm gonna put it in S.
Seems good.
Very great card. It does what it's trying to do very well. It's a fast card. Ritual of Annihilation is a card that I would say is slightly worse than Great Rev.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about that next.
Yeah, but uh, talking about that, Ritual of Annihilation, 7 mana card that banishes itself for 8 turns, and then reduces its timer by 1 for every time you sacrifice a creature, and then deals 20 damage, which that does actually can be affected by Mastery, which actually can help you in certain situations, but the lowering of the timer you definitely want to do, so that because this is a stall card, it's like a 7 mana do 20 damage to your opponent. It's like a looming threat over your opponent's board because they can't do anything to stop it except to kill you before then or gain life before then. It it's just a inevitable damage to your opponent, unless your opponent ends you. Julius, would you like to say something about it?
Mm, I've like this card. I it's sweet. It's cool. Please play it more. I love killing people who play while they have this card stuck in their hand. It's my favorite thing. Like they just sheepishly play it when they know I have lethal. Ooh, it feels very good. I like doing that. So just it's like sure in the bones, but it's not. I'm not gonna say it's a bad card or anything. But like the bones mirror is a real problem, a real thing you
Yeah,
might should be concerned about.
yeah,
But
it's
it's sort of not that great in the other matchups. So having a dead card against aggro decks, if you're fine with that, then it's a good card.
yeah, I would have to agree. It is kind of bad against aggro, but it does really help in the bone mirror match or any matchup where you're slowing down the game, so it'll end the game faster. Because if both players are playing great revitalization, the game's gonna last a while because you're both just gaining life, just stealing life from each other in a
Good
way.
point.
So
Good point.
in that matchup, it's pretty good. It's good at what it's doing. So I would say it's an A. I think Great Rev is better in some ways. Right now, you do draw the two cards, which
I'd put a
you usually
yeah.
do get. So it's nice.
I'd put a maybe like a low A, maybe bordering on B, but I can see that. I think A is a good spot for it.
Yeah, it's not like overpowered, but it's good at what it's trying to do. So that's I
It's
like it.
fair.
Okay, so we got Loyal Spellshaper. Um, the 3 mana, 1/2 mastery 2. With the last word, it gains. You add a spell that you played that turn back to your hand. Julius, this is your specialty, so you want to talk a bit about it?
My actual literal child, my homie Larry, as I like to call him. God, I love this card. Favorite card in the game. Swear to God. Uh, this card is mad good, homie. It used to be a tutu, but and they nerfed it. It's still good. It's still good.
Well, I mean, you're not usually
It's
attacking
like
with it, anyways.
not really. It's like if you're attacking with it, it's gonna be like that last couple points they need to like get the extra like one or two across. But yeah, you don't usually attack with it. Especially with Gunhaunt around. But and usually even if you have a book on it, you sometimes don't want to attack in with like the threat of like Vanguard or like just like a straight Call of the Old God. Like you rarely attack with, but uh. Here, the thing about Larry is that it often puts your opponent in a let's say on turn. I like playing this in turn 5 with a Call of the Old God or similar burn spell. But or turn 3 works. So often I like playing it on maybe like turn like a turn where I can put it down with a spell. Um, so even if they remove it, I get value off of it. That's one of the biggest things is that um when your opponent is low, like they can't they have to just not remove it. You play a matter blast, you put them down 3, they're not gonna remove it, because then they'll die. So that's nice. Um, but yeah, it's solid. It's a lot of like. Also, what it allows you to do is feel fine about in the mid game while you just attack with a couple creatures and stuff. Just like hold back for a little bit and then just sort of let it carry you to finishing the game up.
Yeah, very solid card. You definitely the if you have play a spell to back it up, it does actually provide a little bit of protection. Because if you play it just on turn 3, it is a risky play because your opponent could just Dark Matter Blast it to get rid of it.
Yeah, high S with Scott. I put him up there with in the top 3 of S.
Yeah, he's definitely only a mastery, so I'd say
Yeah,
he's a little lower than like Dread
yeah,
Experiment in them because he's great in mastery. He does what he's trying to do very well, so that's good. He's really good.
yeah.
I mean, I think in comparison to Dread Reconstructor, Reconstructor is just cracked.
Yeah,
Like oil
like
Spellshaper.
an egg.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, but Larry's good. I like Larry. I'm gonna continue to play Larry. Y'all can't stop me. Anyway,
Okay.
it's love that card. Let's move on.
Okay. So we got Mastercraft Flesh Golem here. This card is okay. So it's a 10 mana, 10/10 with at the start of your turn, it loses 1/1 and then summons a Bone Amalgamate. And then on its last word, so when it dies, it banishes both graveyards. So I'm gonna pass this to myself. So this card is very confused in what it's trying to do, in my opinion. So it is both trying to summon Bone Amalgamates, which is one thing it's trying to do, and then on the other end, it's trying to counter Bone Amalgamates by banishing both graveyards. Do you have any opinions on that?
Um, really, it's just like as far as when Magi's in the game, when Numbering Striker's in the game, you just don't really care for this. It's like you want to sack it to Great Rev, but then your main win condition just doesn't happen. So it's like it's horrible to sack with Great Rev. So it's just like fine. It's cute. It's a fun card, but honestly, I'd put this in like C or B because it's just there are much better options overall.
Yeah, it is a 10 mana, so it does have that little bit of usage, and it can counter Bones a little bit, but it's not really enough to counter Bones. They can still
Yeah,
keep on going after losing both graveyards. So, I actually probably put it in C. It's not that great.
sure.
I'd say that, yeah, these cards are just more solid.
Yeah, C seems good.
And then,
Seems good.
because there's just better 10 manas you can play. I'd rather play
There are
Lumbering,
two there are two better options. Yep.
I'd rather play Lumbering Striker or Magi.
Yeah.
Because Lumbering Striker, you can hit with Great Rev. This one, it's kind of weird to hit. And then it's really slow on its Bone Amalgamate summoning. Okay. And then moving
Okay.
on to Necromancy.
Hey.
Yes.
Oh golly gee.
Yeah. 3 mana, summon a creature from your graveyard. Banish it when it dies. Uh,
All right. Let's just quickly for the sweet summer children who do not know what people do with this abominable piece of cardboard. Uh, you want to explain the God combo to them?
okay, yeah, let's explain God combo. Bone Brute, discard Magi. I don't have.
You mean Bones to Bones, but yeah,
Yeah, well, you
yeah,
use Boons To Bones to discard a Magi. I'm probably going to edit the
yeah.
Magi in there to the side.
You can cut this a little bit out. Yeah.
And then, you discard the Magi, and then you Necromancy it. So, you can get that turn 3. Turn 3 Magi. And then it banishes when it's gone.
It's like it's a big boy, but it also eliminates your like
And then you can also hit with Great
yeah.
Rev. And then
It's very powerful. Um,
it's way too powerful.
like I we talked with Avid. They're literally talking about making it like essentially it costs half as much as the creature you're trying to resurrect, so it'd be 5 mana if you're trying to present Magi,
yeah,
and also reducing its toughness by half. That's what they're talking. Nothing's final. We don't know anything yet, but that's sort of what they're sort of internally talking about. So they literally agree that it's too powerful.
yeah.
That God combos are something they want to move away from. So I think this is like the top of double S.
Yeah.
Like
It's
the double.
incredible. It's
Yeah.
useful in like every single deck, except maybe Mastery, because they'd rather
Yeah,
play
well,
discard.
it's like sort of outclassed. It's like you'd rather just play more proactive cards,
Yeah,
because it's like you're not. It's like also if you wanted to play it, you could play the next card we're going to talk about, Tombstone Mimic.
yeah.
Um,
This card is like a worse version of Necromancy, but like one less mana.
yeah,
So what it does is it banishes a creature from your graveyard, and then it gains the effects. So with
And
this
yeah,
card, you got to keep in mind it does not hit entrance abilities. So
yeah.
any entrance ability, it does not copy. Like it does not
Got to copy
activate.
last word, so do some wacky shit with Alkar.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can copy the Alkar. So you can copy the last word. So if that one dies, then
Yeah,
it activates all the spells. It's kind
I
of
have a
a
lot of.
weird one, but
I think I'll start a little bit with this one. I have a lot of experience with this card. Like back when it used to be better. Like I don't think it's great to play in Bones these days. I mean mastery. I mean mastery. No, I don't think it's great to play. Like I sort of moved away from it. But it's like of course, getting back Larry effectively. It's literally just too many Larry when it dies, which is pretty potent. The Arcane Experiment. That's fine. Mastery, one of your smaller mastery dudes. Like it's completely inoffensive. It's like I'd put it at like a B in mastery.
yeah.
It's like also like with Ghost Flinger as we were talking about earlier. It's a very cute like sort of alternate flavor to in Bones. But
Okay.
in my current like room zoom borderline burning book type version of mastery, it just doesn't really fit. And
Um.
you'd rather be playing stuff with better stats overall. So I think this card's a good example of a B. You wouldn't it, you I wouldn't be offended if you played it, but I think it's suboptimal.
Yeah. Definitely in mastery, I agree with you, but I feel like in Amaray, that's where it's got a better spot. Because,
Interesting.
like, ooze and stuff, it's actually pretty good in ooze. Because you can copy the oozes so it becomes an ooze. You can copy Acidic Overlord. So it's not too bad. I'd say it's probably like a high B. So it's
Bees
pretty,
feels good.
it's like a pretty solid card. You just gotta judge between these two cards which one you're gonna run. And most of the time you're gonna pick Necromancy. It
Definitely.
Yeah, just most of the time Necromancy just has way more versatility, and the extra mana is worth it to be able to hit anything and get entrance abilities off of stuff. So like you can Magi something, you can Necromancy Magi, and that's way better than
Totally.
like Tombstone. Also, Tombstone can hit Glorious Overseer, Garanon, Lavrod Whelp. Those are all good
Groom.
cards.
Groom, for instance, also.
Gurm, yeah.
Yeah, Gurm immediately do that. I don't see Gurm dying much these days though. It's just so big and chunky, but yeah.
It's probably
Uh
because people aren't running as many mob rules. I don't think.
well, that's the discussion that next time we'll have to discuss that another. But I have some thoughts on Mob Rule.
Mob rule's
That'll
really
be
good.
that'll yeah. We'll have to discuss that next time.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the next one, the
Okay.
Reconstructor.
Yeah, we got Reconstructor here. Okay.
There's no mystery to this. We just put in a double S and then we talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I don't think you guys can argue about that, it not being there. So basically, what it does is 3 mana, 2/1. On entrance, it sacrifices one of your creatures and then summons 2 Bone Amalgamates. It's just incredible value. You just Springtrap it, play it again, 100 great value. Even at 5 mana, 2 cards, really good. Uh, Way too
Of course,
strong.
that Avid has talked about they're thinking about
Yeah,
nerfing.
yeah,
Actually, just oh boy, it's even like optimal to burn like a non-master modified call the old guy on it if you get the chance because it's just such a big thing. It's just such a powerful part. Like it's like I say I like a lot, but that's besides the point.
you just get so much value out of
it's kind of
three
mm,
mana. Like you can get like 7 attack units for two 7 attack units for 2 mana, like a 3 mana. That's
yeah,
insane. It's just way too
totes.
strong right now. You can spring trap it to get even more copies. You can Zealous Archivist the spring traps to, recur like hit this guy over and over until you have like tons of insane units which you can hit with great rev. It's kind of overpowered right now. Okay, so moving on to Poison Gift. This card
I
is
think yeah,
it's a
uh
kind of
yeah.
outclassed card in my opinion. there's cards that are better than it, but what it
Mm.
does, it's a 3 mana, give a creature 2/1, and then it takes 2 damage at the start of their turn, and then you draw a card. So
Okay, I
ba-
think I'll start with this one. I have some thoughts on this guy. It used to be 4 mana, and that was hot trash. But it's like I think I'd put it at like low B, maybe top of C. Because it's like one thing. It doesn't deal to, like, let's say they play Garen and Trading Prince, and they and they and but it gives it like makes it a fourth like a 4/3, so it doesn't kill it in one turn. It takes 2 turns to kill a two toughness thing, which is sort of the problem. Uh, uh, it's like and it's like it doesn't kill anything with even medium tough. Like it yeah it takes like 2 turns to kill a bone brute, for instance, or similar. But then they're gonna attack you with it, and that's gonna be kind of rough. So it's just like there are so many options that are just do it a lot. It does draw a card, but it's like that. It doesn't make up for the fact that it's just so subpar.
okay, so what I think about this card, it's comparable to Mob Roll, in my opinion. It's basically like a slower Mob Roll that gives your opponent attack and then draws a card. Which I don't think drawing the card is worth it for the not being able to kill things right away in most cases. Well, and also you can often just play Poison Gift and then your opponent will great revitalize that creature so that you're actually hurting yourself by playing that card.
Yep,
And then also it's I mean it's what it's good at is actually killing like Pack Beast, defensive units like Lava. Well, kind of Lava Rod. Well, not exactly. That card is kind of debatable on whether that's a good target for it, because you are getting
I would
hit by
say
six.
no.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you do get hit by 6 damage, but you are taking out in 2 turns, so it's not that bad. You're taking technically 2 less damage than you'd normally do, but
yep,
also it's good against Pack Beast, but also Pack Beast just you can't attack while you're waiting on the Pack Beast to die. So it's kind of, even in that situation, it's not even that
yeah,
great. Okay,
yep.
I
Moving
do
on,
I do think
or
it's a lot better than Mind
uh,
Corruption though.
yeah, mind corruption. If unless just don't. If you want a hard and fast, do it. Should I ever play it or don't? You'll goozle yourself more by playing it than just not playing it at all. I genuinely think it's the worst removal in the game.
Yeah. Well, you can treat it as a removal with spending 7 mana on it with a Dread Experiment, which is fun whenever you like Mind Corruption
Uh,
a Doomed Apothecary. That's a funny combo.
it's funny. Is it good? No, not really. But it's like, hey, don't take our word as gospel. Like
Yeah,
we're
it's
we're
just our
we're
opinions.
this is what this is about. It's about giving our reasoning. Like we're here to have a discussion, and if you think that you can make that work somehow, go ahead, be my guest. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see more experimentation. We and that's what I'm saying. Don't let this discourage you. If you want to play it, play it. I want to see people win with these cards that I consider bad. That stuff excites me. But with that tirade over, I think we should move on to the next card.
Okay, so we got Royal Crypt Guardian. So this card is a 5 mana 4/3 that it copies the top two cards in your graveyard twice. So it adds 2 extra copies of the first card in your graveyard to the top of your graveyard, and then that's on its entrance. And then when it kills something and when it dies, it takes the top non-token from your graveyard and adds it to your hand.
I've actually played with this card a little bit. This card, like I it's not it's worse, but I think playing this card with Lich is very fun. it's a very fun thing to do on turn 5. Like just turn 5, do the thing, sack the bone, and then just immediately play that, and then get like just get some really big boys going. Oh man, that's my favorite way to play bones. It's a shame that it's sort of not as good.
Yeah.
Uh,
This card is a great card in Bones. Usually I would run like one copy in Bones because
yeah,
it's a little inconsistent. It's good with Gunhaunt because if you copy a creature, you get two more of those, and also you
yeah.
can add them back if it's really good when you can grab two cards with this card. You really want to
Mm.
look for that. If you can grab three, great, that's awesome, but it's not going to happen every time. If you can grab two, it's really great. I would say you don't usually get three
It's a real
because
bitch to try and play it with necromancy though.
yeah, well, yeah because it'll put the necromancy on top and then copy the necromancy. So
Man, yeah.
necromancy with it is not as good as you'd think.
I mean, then again, it if we're gonna if you're gonna, it's pretty good with the next card we're gonna try and talk about is Zealous Archivist. Anyway, oh wait, we have to put it in a tier. Goddammit. What do you want to put this little man? I think
Uh,
A feels good.
yeah, A feels
A
good.
feels good.
Like he's not too
Yeah,
powerful, but he's pretty strong. He
yeah.
feels better than like Arcane Experiment and then them.
Mm, totally.
And then call. Okay, wait. We want to do
Yeah, let's do
Zealous
Zealous
first.
first.
Yeah,
Now that I did the whole thing.
yeah.
Uh,
Since you talked about it.
yeah.
Okay,
Zealous Archivist.
so this card it originally was people thought it would be used in Mastery. Now people don't consider it a Mastery card,
Yeah.
but it is
But
okay. But
yeah. What does it
it
do?
is a 6 mana, 3/4 that has Mastery 1, and whenever at the end of your turn it takes a random spell from your graveyard and adds it to your hand and banishes it once it's gone.
I th- I think I'd like to talk about this card first.
Okay.
I think this is a classic example of like, let's just talk about it from Mastery strictly. This is a classic example of perfectly like, I myself, when I didn't have a fully upgraded Mastery deck, and I played this card, and I felt pretty alright about it. It's like, obviously it's slow, sure, it's not great, but if you don't have better alternative, it's a perfectly fine thing to do. Um, you know, like, if you got a couple copies, you're upgrading the starter deck, go ahead. You know,
Okay.
but that's my thoughts on that in Mastery.
Okay, I don't think this card has a place in Mastery right now.
It
I
doesn't.
feel if I feel like it has a better place in Bone Amalgamates
Yeah,
because this card is very good in that because
super.
you can recur your removal spells because you play like Dark Matter Blast, Call of the Old God, and Mob Rule and stuff to kill your opponent's creatures, not necessarily to do damage to your opponent. So getting those back to have more opportunities to kill your opponent's creatures is very powerful, and you can get back necromancy too. There's just so much good spells in the game that it has just so much value to bring
Yeah.
double the amount of spells you have.
Oh yeah, yeah. We getting that extra point on the final countdown. Ayo, 21 funny number. Uh, but in all seriousness, good card and bones. And if you like have don't have the cards to build a full mastery deck, it's perfectly fine thing to do. Wouldn't recommend it if you got a full collection though.
Yeah. Okay, and then next we have Call of the Old God. So it 2 mana card that deals 1 damage and draws one. Actually,
And it adds 2 copies of it in your deck. You got the wrong thing here.
oh yeah,
Uh,
I guess
but
yeah,
what it yeah
yeah, you're right.
it shuffles 2 copies of it into your deck. The Emirates might have messed up a little bit on that. I don't know what the deal is, but okay. Time for me to talk about the. All right, this card, it good, it very good. It's like it's easy to place another deck in Bones, but especially in Mastery. It's just like the ability to add additional spells to your deck makes mastery churn like butter. All right. But here's one thing I want to like, you know, it's good. it can quickly become powerful removal. But here's one discussion. What it allows you to draw an additional card, but what? Here's one thing I've been considering lately. Is it better to play out Dreadful Drain and have the option to choose a creature, or is it better to draw the card and then not have the option to play it on a creature? I've been going towards being able to draw the card, but what do you think about that, Wonky?
I do think the it going neutral and card advantage really helps the card
It's very powerful.
because you kind of refill your hand with another card. So it's kind of like a 2 mana draw deal 1 damage that is like not even a card in your hand. It just gets replaced in your hand once you use it. So
Yeah,
it's really good. It's also really good at killing like 1 health units, like Reconstructor to stop your opponent from spring trapping it. Uh,
yeah,
Against Bone, it's really good when you add another mastery to it because in Bone you can run this guy. So giving it one mastery makes it pretty good, or even better removal than it already is. Because it can kill like Garanon and stuff. I think it's like a solid. Probably not as good as Dark Matter, but
I think I would put it. I put it like in like if any. I guess S is appropriate. Yeah, put it an S, just like lowish S.
yeah.
Like it's good. Deserve the S tier.
Okay.
Next,
Ne-
all right, you good?
yeah.
Moving on to Springtrap. Yeah.
Okay. So what this card does is it's 2 mana and it returns a card to your hand, and if it's a token, it kills it. It Very good card.
Yeah.
Um, okay, there's two main situations where I found that this card is great nowadays. It used to be a 1 mana, which you'd run in every single deck.
Whee!
So nowadays, it's more of a you use it in Bone Amalgamates to return your Reconstructors mostly, and then you use it in aggro or Mastery to slow down your opponent's plays. Because what this card is good at is slowing down your opponent. Because they can't. It's not like a mob roll where they can follow up with a Necromancy. This card is good at doing that, where it hurts yourself in card advantage, but it hurts your opponent more in mana.
Yes. That the sort of plan of utilizing your board presence to put pressure on your opponent by spending less mana on your answers than they do their questions or or like their threats slash your removal. That's called tempo. Like that's something that's quite important to playing aggro decks. Currently, I only run 2 copies. Because I ideally want to draw one and probably not more than that. Personally. But it's very good. It's been a mainstay in my mastery decks for since I started playing the game. It's like removing their big old dork. They're like I like to use it on like a magi or something. So they don't so I can try to salvage those ungodly scenarios. But yeah, I think S. It's like it's borderline S, but I think A is appropriate. It's a
Yeah,
good solid card, um, completely reasonable and fair.
yeah. I
Yep.
definitely think
Moving
it's.
on.
I think it's good at what it's trying to do, just not too overpowered. I definitely think
Yep.
Reconstructor's the problem, not Springtrap.
Damn straight.
And then we have Final Spell. So this is a
Final spell. I want to cast more like. Hey yo.
okay.
Anyway, I don't like this card.
Yeah. Julius doesn't like it. I mean, I actually kind of like it sometimes. Depends on the situation. It depends. Okay, so what this card does is it banishes all creatures on board and then it taps your Dungeon Master. So
It doesn't do that anymore, or actually it does. Never mind.
it
I'm a
used
goober. Ignore
it,
me.
it used to not because of a glitch.
Yeah. It used to also deal damage to you. I don't know why I thought that would be a good idea.
Okay,
Anyway,
but the reason the situation where I think this is good is as like a one of in your deck in like probably MRA, not really bone against bone, but mostly against MRA because those decks they like to go long and have good board presence. So when you're losing, I really like cards that help me when I'm losing. It's just cards I like. But it's that kind of get out of jail free card that helps you in the MRA matchup. Because,
That is, I didn't consider versus like ooze, for example, like
yeah,
that type of build.
yeah, that kind of
I
build,
I'm, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think of that. That's a bloody fair point. I just for that, I'd put it like I want to put an F. I want to scream to the rooftop. It's so big, it's so expensive. I am literally gonna kill you before turn 10. But I don't. I think B is way too high. I think C is appropriate, isn't it?
I think it's a low B. Um,
Low B.
it, it,
I
it's definitely not a card you run more than one of. It's a one of card that is sometimes good, and you should debate whether you should run it, but it is good
it's
in those
then
situations.
again, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure how good Ooze is right now though. But like, it'll definitely be maybe it'll be higher in a metagame where Ooze might be a little more potent. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. We have Till Undeath Do Us Part. Okay, so this is a 4 mana card that gives two undead creatures 2/2. Julius, how would you like to talk? Would you like to talk about this card?
I have no thoughts. It's like sure, it's like it's fine, you know.
Okay.
If you're trying to if you're maybe playing a slightly more pro like mid range type bone deck, I could see it being fine. It's like putting it on your on one your on some guys. It's like it's fine. I think this is like a pretty clear like mid low B to me.
Um,
It's like
I
if you
actually
have better options, but
okay.
you got
I think
thoughts?
it's a C, like a
Yeah,
good C. I think it's higher than
let's
Mind
see.
Corruption.
Hmm.
Because actually maybe Mind Corruption should go down a little. I'm not sure, but the reason I put it in C is because you can put it on Desperados, which goes with Gunhaunt. So it's not too bad of a combo. It's not that great, but it is something. So it has something there. It has a little bit of potential. Do you agree?
It's like yeah. Oh, of course, yeah. I didn't even mention the fact that it also counts as Desperados. You know, it's like if if at some point there's some good support for a slightly more aggressive like right now you can build a pretty okay aggressive version of the deck, but right now it's like you in the optimal builds you'd rather not.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
It's yeah. It's got a tiny bit of potential, and that's why I put it
Sure.
at C.
Trap Engineer.
Okay. This card,
F.
yeah. But give me a second to read the card.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Uh,
4 mana, 3/5. So it deals 1 damage to both combatants when it's blocking. So when your opponent pushes forward and you block, both of them take one. I think that there are better cards that can do that kind of thing.
it's
Uh,
like
Trap
there are yeah.
Trapjaw
Go on.
is probably actually Trapjaw is the opposite, but it's attacking. But Trapjaw is like the better
Yeah, of
version.
course.
Next we have Vicarious. We've hit the bad cards later, but Vicarious, I feel like it's a
Yeah.
little higher than Trap
Well,
Engineer.
it's like all right. So
Actually,
wait,
okay,
wait. Actually, all right. I have
sure.
my thoughts on Trap Engineers. Like I never really played because it's just like there are better options. I think Vicarious it shouldn't be. I think Vicarious deserves at least a C tier. Like sure, you can Springtrap it, sure, but it's like it's a 4 mana thing. And if you like play some spells, it can be somewhat large, somewhat threatening. I've I, I've moved away from it. It's not great to play, but it's the this is that's what the C tier is for. It's for cards that aren't embarrassing. But like you should definitely move away from them when your collection grows. So I think that's a good spot for it. Like in mastery, it's like in some earlier builds of mastery, it's done good decent work for me.
I
but it's
definitely.
also like spells are more expensive now with spring traps and the whatnot. So it's like I think right next to Golem, right next to Golem.
Uh-huh.
It's a salty.
Yeah, yeah, you're probably right. It's probably better than Till and Death because it has some kind of potential.
Yeah.
It wants to be in Mastery, but Mastery doesn't like it too much.
Oh.
It also is very weak to removal. Your opponent really wants to spring. Like if it gets spring trapped, it's gone. Like
Yeah, dude.
it loses all of its like gained attack. If it kept its attack when it got spring trapped, a, it would be better. It'd be better.
Mm. Yeah.
I don't know how much better,
Card.
but
Going
okay.
out with somewhat of a bang, we might say.
Uh, this card is probably. I think it needs a nerf,
Yeah.
personally.
But what it do though?
Okay, so it is a 1 mana 1/2 that gains 1/1 when a friendly undead creature dies. What can I say? Getting incredible value out of your 1/1s. It's a lot different from this card. Same
Oh, buddy.
stats, but
Same stats.
same
Doesn't that put
stats.
things into perspective, huh?
Yeah. So, okay, this card and this card pretty much do the same thing. Just look at the mana difference, and they're
Yeah.
literally the same stats.
Well, here's here. All right. So I can speak to how this changes the way you play Bones a little bit. Like it's made me want to experiment Bones like a little bit more. So it's like it allows you. It's an honorary bone amalgam, yeah,
Hmm.
because it's like it grows. You want to sacrifice your bones. You want to do that stuff. So it just slowly over the course of the game grows to like about as large as your bone amalgams. So that's just a thing. That just works. It does stuff, you know?
Yeah, it's both a early games Kickstarter for your bone deck, and then also a uh, gain tons of value out of 1 unit kind of card. So like you can
Yeah,
have a blocker that's gonna block for a while before it dies, so you can stall out even more. It just
totally.
gets stronger and stronger in bone right now. Any
Yep.
other things you want to mention before we close this out?
I no. I think I hope that you people found the discussion enjoyable, and or you can get some good use out of this tier list.
Yeah,
I think we're
this was
yep.
very
We'll be
fun to
signing
make.
off now, and we'll see you next time. Uh,
Well,
we
that
we
does
haven't
it.
decided yet if yep.
Later, skaters.